Good afternoon and welcome back to Growing Together episode number 11. Today we have a really good friend, a great teacher, a small group leader, Carrie Churchill. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just got done leading a small group and it was a lot of fun.
How was that today?
They were talkative. Got them going. Had a good conversation.
What was the conversation about? I wasn't there. I'm sorry. I was
all right.
working on technology stuff
Yes.
and I'm trying to be all over the place, but I'm glad they're in good hands.
He had to do a lot of work to make me look good. Kimmy and I led the high school group. We talked about life course theory and how what happens to us in life affects maybe how we turn out and where personal choice comes in and where the community comes in to help each other out. And it was a good conversation.
How did kids react to that? Like, can you tell me a little bit like what they...
Yeah, they get it. It's the game that we played is kind of like moving through the game of life. You start out, and each player is assigned if they were born into a family with privilege or a neutral start or disadvantaged. And then as they go through life, and there's different cards that pertain to school, and if there's after school activities, or if the bus in their community gets shut down, or if they start smoking. And depending on their start in life, they move forward or backwards. They lose health insurance. And the kids really responded well because there's things in life that you have choice about. Like the education part, everybody stops at age 20. And no matter what their start in life was, the roll of the dice determined their education level. And so they were like, well, I was disadvantaged, but I got 4 years of college, or I went to grad school. Well, maybe something's happened in your life to make that happen. Or I was privileged, but I, didn't go to college. And so some things made a difference. Other things, they're dependent on where you live, who your parents are. And so it was good conversation.
Yeah. It's just crazy how, like, this kind of games can represent actually life, like you can be one day here and then the next day
Exactly.
it's like a roller coaster, right?
Yep.
It's just like,
Yep.
yeah.
And your personal characteristics that can help get you through that. We talked about resilience, but we also talked about living as Christians in community and recognizing when people are struggling and lifting them up when they need help. And just the bigger social justice issues of our time, if you want to go in that direction, because it's important to recognize how where we live and how we live together impacts one another. So
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for what you do with the kids. They were in great hands, and I really appreciate the help of all the small group leaders for this season of spring. We're closing, right? We're closing this.
It's gonna be summer.
This cycle is gonna be summer.
Yeah.
We're finishing next week. Also next week we're gonna have our summer send-off blessing. So if you're middle school or high school, come at 4:30. We're gonna have games. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have a blessing. So make sure that you're here. So, Carrie, thank you so much, first of all, to be here. I'm really, I already have your two daughters.
Yes.
Molly and Hannah.
Yep.
They totally different people.
Very different people.
And I'm wondering, how is the mom?
I'm good. It's fun to watch what happens when you feed and clothe human beings for 16, 18 years and find out what happens. And you just, it's fun to watch what happens and enjoy the ride. Yeah.
Well, for sure, the people that have contact with them and work with them at school or know them from church, they know that they were well raised, and
Thank you.
You and your husband had to like a great job.
Thank you.
Yep, good job, Jeff. There you go. All right, then. So, Carrie, tell me how will people describe yourself?
How would they describe me? Well, I'm one who enjoys the importance of community. So I guess that would make me friendly and open to people, I think, generally. I love to learn more about people, so ask questions or listen to them. But also enjoy the quiet and solitude sometimes too, and just as much as I enjoy observing people, observing nature and observing just the quiet things going on too. So I try and work hard and be a good human being and enjoy life.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you have a pretty good balance of like you like people a lot and sometimes you like quiet.
Exactly.
All right.
Yep.
All right. That makes sense.
So I guess I'm a balance of my two kids. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I can see the balance over there.
Yeah.
Other than being a great mom, and work hard. What are your hobbies?
Hobbies. I enjoy, luckily, after this past year, being at home. I enjoy cooking and cooking for people. It's been fun over recently Easter, having family back and having people to cook for. When the weather's decent, even when it's not, we're outside a lot. We hike a lot and camp when it's good. Travel when we can. But yeah, kind of homebodies. Jeff and I walk the dogs a lot. We have one dog, but we've been fostering 2 dogs for the past 3 months. So in addition to the teenagers, we have extra dogs. And
are they all dogs or like kind of like puppies? What they are?
There's the little tiny dog and the medium-sized dog, and ours is the big dog. So we're quite the scene when we go out in the neighborhood. So I think that's why we do it. We go keep the neighbors talking about us and walk them in the morning, walk them in the evening, which is not that exciting, but it's our hobby.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, what do you work? What do you do for work?
What do I do for work? Well, I'm a nurse, but I've never worked in a hospital. I work in public health. So I work for the State Department of Health and have pretty much my whole career. And I always, well, since I decided to be a nurse, love the idea of public health and keeping people healthy instead of, I want to say fixing them up later, but prevention rather than treating sick people has been my passion. And mostly my whole career that's been in maternal child health. So I worked for the program called WIC, Women, Infants, and Children, where we do nutrition education. And then as a community health nurse, worked with moms and babies. And then the past 20 years, I've done home visiting as a nurse who goes to visit moms and babies to help with parenting support and finding resources and just that kind of guiding hand to help families flourish.
So maybe this is not a question that I told you that you will be prepared.
Yeah.
But how you relate that to be a Christian? Oh, there'd be like you're helping someone else or something like that. Where the Christian part of it comes?
I think, and not because of my role in it, but my ability or my opportunity to see families through that important part of their life. And I actually haven't done home visits for a long time. Now I'm the program person in policy, and that is not nearly as much fun as, those times going out every first visit with a family when you stand at that door and knock for the very first time to see who you're getting to know for the next 2.5 years. That's how long our program lasted. Was one of those God moments, like, okay, who am I going to walk beside for the next couple of years? And as their babies were born and as they became parents, just watching things unfold. Another difference between being a hospital nurse when you have people for a short time and care plans and fix them and send them back to the world. We spend 2.5, 3 years with families, and it's a long time to watch change unfold that nurses and healthcare providers don't usually get. And it's painful and exhilarating all at once.
Did you develop like feelings for those people? Like, do you like, you start to like get closer to them, and then what happened to them hurts you too?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot of work just in our field or our office around, boundaries and making sure that, recognizing what working with these families brings out in ourselves. Because we've all been through traumas, or we've all had hard spots in our lives, and when you're working closely with the family that maybe is experiencing that same thing or handling something in a way different than you are, we have to support each other as nurses. We can't count on the clients to handle that for us. That's not right. So. And
so you need to have a professional to like help that, but is there like a part of your program that use volunteers?
We don't use volunteers just because it's healthcare and nursing, and so there's a lot of HIPAA or privacy regulations. But we do greatly depend on the support of volunteers, like our peacemakers here at church. They are wonderful at supplying us with quilts for the babies and for the moms too, the families who maybe just need something to cover their floors. All of the nonprofits in town, we work really closely with lots of different agencies that help our families in lots of different ways. So volunteers in other ways rather than directly with families.
Like a connection with other organizations.
Yep.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, I can see a lot of like.
Well, and it's been a blessing too, because for 12, 13, 14 years. South Canyon has also adopted some of our Bright Start families for their Christmas servant event every year. And that came up at a conversation at a ladies' night out dinner one night. And from that time on, every year, some of our families have been adopted, which is that for the nurses to go on that first visit after the families have had their deliveries and hear about how exciting that was for them. Just, that's the best.
This is the big
it's the
joy.
best, yeah.
So, Carrie, moving on to your faith journey, right? I'm sure it's been a wild journey. Like every person has a different experiences, and I think like you for sure have stuff to share. And so the first question is if you have someone that has been impactful for you.
Yeah, well, that's a good question. I think a lot of people. For me, being a Christian, the community part, the communion of saints, is it. Just this wrap around my whole life. So it's not that exciting of a journey. I've been Lutheran since I was born in a little tiny church on the east side of the state, with a congregation of less than 100, to going to Augustana College University, which is a Lutheran school, to coming to South Canyon. It's been a pretty Lutheran journey, but through that whole time, often the people who were around me throughout that journey, through camp and confirmation and college and new congregations, I think it's more a group of people and the communion of saints.
Yeah, usually the people that I have had here, they usually say that like it's more the community than just one person. There's that case that there's one person that actually like impact like your life, like I have had on other people. But usually it's like the community and the people that you gather around. That's the people that help you to form your faith, would you say? Like help you to form your faith?
You need different things at different times too, I think. I mean, again, through that whole journey, Sunday school teachers or camp counselors or the people come into your life when you need them. But if it were to boil down to one person or people, of course, my family who, got us to church, especially my dad. Every Sunday we went to church, not in a this is what we have to do way, but I just have vivid memories of sitting beside him on Wednesday night Lenten services and singing the songs in the darkening church, and those kind of things are what, again, surround you when you have tough times.
Yeah. So you work really close with people that struggle, and usually we humans are like sponges, right? Like once we are like in contact with people that are struggling, or is even when you're like at home and your dad is like, for example, my dad will get stressed, I will start to start to feel stress. So how you find God during that time?
Oh, it's hard. I think, we were just talking about this in the high school youth group too, and the concept of resiliency and being able to walk through hard times. And not that that's necessarily a personal characteristic that, you have it or you don't, but I think God gives us the resiliency to walk through those tough situations and use that communion of saints, I think, to get through it. And sometimes that helps and sometimes it's harder than others, but that's what I would say is I've been lucky in life to have, I don't know, I guess a sense of resiliency to try and keep God in the forefront. And there's been it's been stressful at work lately, a lot of challenges, and some of my coworkers have been so kind to say, this isn't all on you. You don't have to do this by yourself. What can I do to help? And I imagine that as a voice of God too. You don't have to do this by yourself. What can I do to help? And that's peaceful.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about the community of saints. How you putting that word in practice? How is that like? What do you mean when you say that word?
I don't know. I guess I've thought about it more in the past few years too, especially as you get older and your people from your younger years pass away, your grandparents and parents are, not around as much anymore. And the people that you grew up as as the adults, they're starting to not be around anymore, but they're still in your life and still impactful. Even people I knew from my childhood who I never see anymore, every once in a while pop into your head, and I think, why were they placed in my head today? And even the people that I cross paths with day to day, we all impact each other. And I don't know, I think I try. It's not always easy to be that communion of saints for other people too, and lift them up when they do well, and be there when they're not, and that's what it is. It's taking and receiving and giving and.
I mean, I'm just trying to process all this. It's just like
these deep thoughts.
It's deep, and it's hard to how you see faith and how you talk about people. It may be different from the people that is outside watching this, right? Mm-hmm. So just sharing how you have this contact with people is just even right now I'm trying to understand, and I for sure I'm gonna take it home and then I'm gonna try to understand this and be what she meant when you say communion of saints. Yeah.
I hope it is different for people. And I know for a lot of people, faith is very personal, and I think it is for me too, but it's personal because of experiences and stories and people. So
what I think is yes, faith can be really personal, but also I think there's a window or there's a space to be able to share. It's hard to share, right? You get really vulnerable, right? This space is vulnerable right now, and you're here sharing who you are, how you see, how you are as a Christian, and we're glad to have you here. And I think it's amazing that the people that have the courage to do this, you touch hearts. And this is what that I really say. I'm sure one person that sees this video is gonna be impacted by the words that you're saying tonight. So,
thank you.
So before we start to wrap up all this and everything, right? I have a few more personal questions that I would like to ask you, right?
Sure.
You already have time.
I signed the form.
You signed the form. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So tell me, what do you think is your purpose?
My purpose. I don't know. I think, again, not to keep coming back to that, but to be part of the communion of saints and to, I don't know, Pastor Bruce in one of his rotations of sermons, back a few years, he always talked about navel gazing and how sometimes we get stuck looking inward so much, which we do because we're human beings, and sometimes we need to do some self-reflection. But I try to spend more of my life not navel gazing and looking inward and looking outward more to see where I can make an impact, to build connections. I can't do everything, as my coworkers have helped me learn, and as God says, you can't do this all. Helping to find the people who can. I think that's my purpose. I hope it is. And I'm not perfect at it, but
nobody is.
No. No. Yeah.
For what in your life do you feel the most grateful today?
I know that I've been lucky in life and privileged, to use that word, to grow up with a strong family, strong faith, strong community in a small town. I'm pretty middle class, Midwestern, middle of everything. And I think that's taken away a lot of struggle that a lot of people have for a lot of different reasons that they have to worry about that I haven't had to. And to be grateful for that and also cognizant of it and how that makes my life experience different than a lot of other people's. And I think especially working with families through Bright Start, the program we do, to be able to step outside of my worldview and try and see the world from theirs.
So you're kind of grateful that you're able to experience in
again, not perfect at it, but I'm grateful that I don't have the stress of a lot of things that a lot of people do that allows me to be more open to those kind of experiences.
Okay. That's good. And last one.
Okay.
All right. You're almost done.
Okay.
Do you think younger you would be happy with what you have become today?
I think so. I think, yeah. Again, Carrie growing up on the farm with going to church with Dad and Mom, and being again a good human being in a small town. I think that was where a lot of it came from too, and it could be anywhere, but we just helped each other out. My dad was volunteer fireman and the kind of guy who always went to town to chop fallen trees for the old ladies in town, and he just helped. He took care of the earth before that was a thing, and I think I acknowledged how amazing that was and wanted to grow up and be like him and be like my mom, who worked really hard and got more education, and I try and keep learning about things and not feel like I know it all. So I think following in those footsteps, younger me would, as a teenager, probably would have never said I want to be like my parents ever, but adult me realizes the value of that.
Wow. There you go. Carrie, thank you so much for being here today. I think you have done a lot for us here in South Canyon, but also you're doing a lot for other people outside of this congregation, and for sure everybody's grateful for that.
Well, thank you. But this congregation and community has done a lot for me too, and a lot for us, and we all have times where we need each other. So yeah. Thank
you so much for being here, and guys, thank you so much for watching us, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.